in order to build a world worth living in, you've first got to understand the world that we have. And I'm a firm believer, as I said, in looking at reality with open eyes. That doesn't mean that one has to be pessimistic. It doesn't mean that you cannot make change or that you get so disheartened that you cannot do the things that need to be done. But I think the job that is required is far too serious for us to fool ourselves that there are simple solutions. That's why I was talking about the difficulties of the technological solutions, which don't look at governance questions. I think education, how people come to think, but also what values people imbibe from education and from learning is absolutely crucial. And I think that the extent to which Swedish social democracy, or let me put it this way, it's not about political parties, but across party lines, the Swedish belief in justice and solidarity comes from as I learned today, from your experience with the learning circles and with folk learning, going back almost a whole century. That's what makes education so important, especially in a world where education increasingly is being turned into a commercialized, privatized, and highly competitive venture in which you really create a ladder. So who can get to the top of the ladder fast? And of course, who gets to the top of the ladder are those who have all the advantages to start with. But the irony of today's economic world is that for many who even make it through the education system, because of the flexible labor problem that we face across societies today, even getting education doesn't guarantee you a good job, a secure job, livelihood which allows you to marry, to have children, to have a home. All of these things, I think, are completely shaken in today's world, and that's the challenge. So given that that's what's happening with traditional education, I think a different approach to education, which is what the ICAE and the approach towards adult learning and continuous education provides, is critical. I think educators are first to educate themselves. And I think the challenge in learning is how to be a continuous learner, even if you have technically the label of an educator. One of the things that I learned from one of the best teachers that I ever had was someone who would walk into class in the very first day of class say, "Okay, we're here to learn together," and would always be open to the doubts, the questions, the challenges. And every time somebody challenged him, he was really happy because he said, "You're pushing me. Great, keep pushing, because that's the way I learn. I don't know everything." So educators have to be willing to be educated. And that's why I said, it's not an us versus them. But for the educator, the big challenge is to be willing to go beyond comfort zones. And in the kind of society and in the kind of crises that we face today, there is a real risk for the educator of shrinking back and saying, here's my comfort zone and I will stay within it. This I know, but please don't ask me about something else. And that, I think, is not what's needed if we're to create, a world worth living in.